listening to The Lounge. Welcome to The Lounge. Relax. Listen to The Lounge. Listen to The Lounge. Relax and listen to The Lounge. Listen to The Lounge. You are listening to The Lounge. What's up, good people? This your boy James. Thank you for joining The Lounge Talk. I am so glad you're here. Let me know if you can hear me. I got here at the last minute, messing up. So let me know if you can hear me. I got here at the last minute. And we'll go ahead and get started. Let me know how y'all day was, by the way. Then we go ahead and chop this up real quick. I got some good people in the house. I got Coach Flowers, a.k.a. Pastor Flowers. I got Miss Quincy Cox here, Williams Cox here. We some good people, so we're going to chop it up about education today. A lot of y'all got kids in school. You need to hear it. You need to hear a lot that's going on in the educational realm. So give us a few minutes, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Well, again, thank y'all for joining. Tonight we're going to discuss about the education world, especially in the state of Arkansas. I don't know if you know this or not, but listen, your kids are important. Your kids are vital. You need to get in the lives of your children. And so we got some people here to help us understand the educational realm. Because a lot of us don't even know what goes on in our schools. We uninformed. We don't check with teachers. We don't call. We just drop them off and expect the school to raise them. And then you get irritated. You get irritated when you don't get the results you want. So we're going to discuss tonight, just about educational stuff. Me as a parent, I want to just ask questions. I'm just a student right now, so I want to learn from the goats right here. We got my boy P Maxwell. We gonna not entertain, but we want to just get into some real stuff today.
Already.
So I got Coach Flowers, and introduce yourselves. What y'all do for a living? Go ahead. We're gonna start with Coach Flowers, Pastor Flowers, also. So he's a dual threat. So we're gonna introduce each other, and we'll go ahead and get started.
All right, I'm Michael Flowers. I've been teaching for over 20 plus years in the Pulaski County Special School District. I first started at Oak Grove, then I went to North Pulaski, then presently at Mills University Studies. I teach world history now. I teach world history, civics/economics. I'm also a ninth grade coach, assistant varsity coach for basketball, boys basketball, and head softball coach. So I wear a lot of hats, but it's a service. It's what I do, and so I'm glad to be here today.
Appreciate you. Go ahead, Miss Cox. Go ahead.
And I'm Quincy Williams Cox. I have been in education as well, completing 24th year. Done a gamut of things while I've been in education. I was a teacher, taught this young man at North Pulaski High School. I've transitioned, through the ranks because I've had strong mentors that motivated me, and now I'm currently working as the Section 504 coordinator for Pulaski County Special School District.
Amen. We appreciate you. Thank y'all for coming. We appreciate you. Last minute notice, y'all. If y'all don't know, I'm a last minute person. That is one of the worst things about me. So when people on job interviews, when they say, "What is your good qualities?" I'm a hard worker. I do the best I can. What is your bad quality? Gotta procrastinate a little bit. So thank y'all for joining us. And I'm gonna get started. One thing, and I want to just share this. One thing, as a parent, I have to get more involved in my child's education, because we're living in a day and time where we just trust the school to do the work. And so we as parents, I got grade school kids. I got 11-year-olds in the 5th grade. I got a 1st grader. And so we got to get involved in our children's education. It's important because, listen, y'all, we need to know the teachers. We need to have an ongoing relationship with them, because they see your kid 8 hours of the day, and we get the residue of our children, but they see the real child, the real them every day. So we want to get to talking about just the education, about other services that your child may need and stuff like that. P, if you want to go ahead and shed some light or do some talking real quick.
Not too much. First and foremost, we want to thank y'all for coming out again this evening. As far as tuning in to the podcast, the Lounge Talk. Hopefully, life's been good for you. Again tonight, as James said, I have kids as well. A total of 4, and been growing up, seeing these wonderful teachers over so many years is crazy, because I was just in the hallways, opening my school locker, and then I look up, and now grown man responsibilities. But it's been a blessing to be able to get this far. But also, too, since we're talking about education and the importance of having great leaders and teachers, allows us young men and young women who have been taught by great leaders and teachers to get to a better place in life. So not only is this podcast about just education, but also too giving flowers for teachers who are actually doing their job and who actually care.
Right.
Because we understand too that there are some teachers who don't care and make it hard, and maybe not take the necessary time out for certain kids who might be, as they deem, a problem child. And I know these two right here, I've seen at my time in the school, pull some kids to the side and be like, have some real one-on-one conversations with them that help elevate the kid to a whole nother level, to give them some love or some TLC that they probably wouldn't get anywhere else. But in education, like James said, I really don't know much. I try to be hands-on as far as I'm not on the PTA or anything like that, but I try to check in with my kids to see, how they feeling, what they dealing with at school, whether i.e. dealing with their fellow classmates or even with the teachers. But also, too, what I have noticed is the schoolwork is pretty straight, but it seemed like back in my day we had more homework than what they had, like for real. It's crazy, but and maybe these lovely people can shine the light on that, because not only the kids, it seems like right now are, I'm trying to find the right word to say.
Different. They super different.
Different.
They get away with too much.
Yeah, they get away with too much, but also too, even the adults as well. I can speak for maybe, I wouldn't say some of my classmates, but the age range is, there's a lot of ignorance, and they choose that to a degree, and it saddens me. But again, I understand that the decline of the care factor of the world is continually on the decrease, downhill. So it's very important that we have conversations like this to help spark interest or to inspire one to get on the team as far as making sure your kids don't have to make the same mistakes or have to conform to the world of the negativity and less care factor.
Right.
If that makes sense. But hey, here at the Lounge Talk, we just kicking it. You know, it ain't nothing. It's no pressure. These two before we got started was like, you know, we don't talk much. I was like, well, just act like we're at Sunday dinner and we passing the chicken and bread and the macaroni and cheese, because we just really just trying to have a candid conversation about, you know, where the education system is now, and maybe also too what things can we do to make it better, not only in school but
right.
even outside of school in our homes, because like James said, we can't always depend on the teachers or the faculty and staff to rear our child in the right direction. There's only so much influence that they can have. So it's important and very vital that we as parents, our guardians, take our role serious to be there for our kids, because if we don't,
right.
then the world is going to show them a bag of tricks
Most definitely.
they ain't ready to see.
Most definitely. I want to start with Coach Flowers. When I was in ninth grade, North Pulaski. Just fresh ears, just freshman. He has that big brother father figure, especially because I didn't have no father growing up. So let this be heard. Teachers, especially males, you're vital to children that don't have father figures. And so, you know, you pick up things from, you know, he was, you know, vocal, you know, he had practice and make sure you doing what you're supposed to do. But he was involved, not just on the field or on the court, but he was involved with his students. And so that's a lasting impact. I still talk to him to this day. That's a lasting impact. And you have to have lasting impact on students, because that can put the kid in the right direction or the wrong direction. Having a lasting impact. And so one question I have as a parent, and I'm a parent now, what are the ups, so the positives about being a teacher? And I'm going to go ahead and start with you, or in education.
Well, the positive of being in education is you get to be an advocate. And so part of my influence, I really didn't think about it until I really thought about it during the pandemic, and really, well, what is my purpose of, you know, teaching, and that is being an advocate. So the things that I do now is to speak up and use my voice to be an advocate
right.
For students. For instance, I'm now writing op-eds. I wrote an op-ed about digital equity. So issues that, as a classroom teacher, that you know happen in your classroom. As a teacher, you just have to be confident in yourself and bold enough to always raise your voice, and also network with people. I've been real fortunate to work with good teachers and also good coaches. And starting at North Pulaski, well, I started at Oak Grove when I came to North Pulaski. That was my first year coaching football when James was ninth grade. And then I went from North Pulaski, then I went to Mills. And but now in my career, 20 years in, advocacy is the number one thing that I do for my kids. And I will go to the principal, I'll go to the superintendent to get the resources that they need. And part of that is because the learning loss that happened during COVID, that was a big thing. So the learning loss, addressing that. So I guess you can say the highs of it is critical thinking, problem solving, being solution oriented, being an advocate for your students. I always try to connect with them because I always had someone speaking up for me. So like when I was in elementary, I was going to get moved up a grade because I was just whizzing through all the work and stuff. But as a young black male, they really didn't want to. No, you know. So my dad will go up to the school and say, no, you're going to do X, Y, Z. So parents, you ask what you can do, you have to speak up for your kids. You have to speak up for your child. You have to know what's going on. And if you see and knowing your child at home, you see their special talent and stuff, and just encourage them to tap into it. And then the schools are not bad as what people make it think. And I'm gonna stop talking in a minute. But
No, keep on.
what you got to do too is what we have done, and Ms. Cox can iterate this. We have tried to do more wraparound services because of the COVID issue. And so now students got tutoring. It is no reason. And I know you say they don't have homework. Part of that, I think, was COVID, with also the issue of not having the computers and the digital equity, which is an issue. And so that's one thing that I spoke of. I'm still working on that. I visit different schools in urban settings and ask the principal, like, what do you do to address this? And I try to bring that to my students. So
That's what's up. That's what's up. Thank you, Coach Wow. So we got Ms. Cox here. So a lot of people don't actually know what 504 is. They don't know. A lot of people don't know. So
New Orleans.
Not Weezy, not New Orleans. But explain, the highs and lows, or also what 504 is for in the district of Placer County Special School District.
Well, Section 504 is not special education. I do want to stress that first and foremost. It is, and not in a negative way, but because it is there to help a student that may have a disability that may need accommodations in a classroom. For example, it ranges from someone that may have ADHD all the way to students that have leukemia and cancer. So, but they're still mentally sound. And I think that's the confusion sometimes between the line between 504 and special education. And I don't like to cross over to that world of special education because I'm not certified in that area. But that special education is where someone has cognitively been diagnosed that they're not able. But if you have, let's say, sickle cell and you have a crisis, it is there to protect that student. It started as a civil law for the veterans when they returned from war and they didn't have access to buildings. And so that's where it developed, and then it transcended into schools. And it's really there to support, but it's not there to be a crutch. I'm a big, supporter of pushing your child. But if they do have something that needs to be addressed by wholeheartedly, we want that to be addressed, but not to use it as a crutch. Because I think that's why with COVID and different things that have happened, we tend to slack up. We saw that behavior, for whatever reason, parents, whatever was going on during the pandemic, kind of, push back on that. And now as educators, we're seeing the effect of it. I was an administrator, an assistant principal for several years, so I see both sides, and I think that helps me with 504. But I guess my thing to parents is, like Coach Flowers said, be more involved with your kids. As an educator, I see once students start getting to middle school, parents start letting go.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that because, of course, I was raised by an old school mother and grandmother that had their finger on me until I was a senior. So I listened to what kids are able to do. I'm like, what? I was not allowed to do that. Maybe in college. And I know it's a different generation, but I think parents, we need to be more involved with our children. We need to know, because there are more things for, activities or things for them to get into. We didn't have cell phones. I mean, I know I'm older than you are, but we started having cell phones in college. But now, I see first graders when I'm, visiting elementary schools, and they have cell phones. I'm like, they don't have a job. I mean, where are they going? You should know. They're going home, and I understand. We talked about latchkey kids. I understand that some kids do have to go home and no one's there, but there's so much more that kids are involved with, because the internet and access and predators and different things. And so I just want parents to know to be more involved and understand what's going on with your child and inform the schools, because when I say we, because I see myself as a teacher, I teach summer school every summer. I have taught summer school every summer. And that's for me to stay in tune with what the kids need, not just because of, that extra paycheck, but it's there for me to know what are our kids needing. And, I understand what the challenges that students are faced with, and I just think it's important for parents to just be involved and to communicate with their teachers, because sometimes there are some things that are going on with some students. Now, most of the time, I knew what was going on with the student. I was in tune with them. I could just look at a child because I had that rapport. But unfortunately, not everyone has that. I think it's something really truthfully that you're born with, to have that rapport, that factor. It's hard to teach. I know you have mentor teachers. I think it's hard to teach someone how to have rapport. I think it's just something that we are born with. And as I stated before, I could just look at a student and tell in their eyes or their demeanor something was going on. So I would pull them to the side and say, hey, something's going on. Tell me. If you don't want to talk to me, I can connect you with a male teacher, because a male might not want to tell me, but I knew my students. And so I just think parents, if there are some things going on with your students, or your children, not to be embarrassed to tell the educator. If it's one teacher that you have a good relationship, you need to connect with them, because that just opens up our eyes and we're like, oh, I had no idea. Grandfather just passed, or grandfather is ill. And then I think just also parents preparing your children for things that are happening in the world. What I have encountered, because most of my tenure was on the high school level, is parents that had a spouse that was dying of cancer, and I'll just use this one for example, and they said they wanted to give the child everything because of what was going on with their dad. And you can't do that. You have to kind of teach them, wrap around the love, but teach them about life. And that, unfortunately, things like that will happen. But if you give them everything, and then when you say no, then the child doesn't understand. So that's just my thing about it, to be a parent but realize we're here. There are people in education that truly care. I think the ones that truly don't, they are slowly, we see fading out. Because it's getting
get real. If you don't care, you ain't gonna stay.
It's a tough area.
Well, one thing, especially listening to both of y'all talk, one thing that I often see is, that miscommunication between the parents and teachers, and then you see a lot of students commit suicide. And it happens quite a bit because they feel like nobody's hearing them. So it's important as parents that we have a steady communication with educators, be principal, be it teacher, because we got to get to a place to where we got to get involved in our children's lives. Hold on, I'm squeaking. We got to get involved in our children's lives, because listen, I'm a spiritual person. I believe in Christ. The devil comes in, destroys families by any means necessary. He'll come in, he'll use anybody, he'll use a situation, he'll use children, he'll use parents, he'll use whatever he can get his hands on to destroy lives. And so many times he'll use that nobody cares about me mentality, or nobody sees me. And so a lot of kids kill themselves. And I've never seen such a high rate of suicide in kids like I have today. It's crazy. And we got to get to a place to where we cover our children, educators. I know we can't just holler out in the classroom, in the name of Jesus, I cover everybody. I know we can't do that. But you can cover those kids. Cover them with the blood of Jesus. We got to get to a place to where we're protecting them. A lot of them don't feel protected. So we got to get to a place that kids feel protected and they are seen.
I think, James, one of the things, this is for teachers because we confront these issues, and you asking yourself, I'm in the classroom, what do I actually do? So one thing you can do, and one thing that I did, you professionally develop yourself as a teacher. So I've been teaching 20 years. Every year I go to some type of professional development. The last one I went to had to deal with, I guess you'd say, social emotional learning, emotional intelligence. And really, the seminar on the PD really was for me because I needed to be able to have better self-control. But back to what you were saying about what you can do as a teacher and cover them. Now, you may not get up there and, say a Bible verse or, but what you do is, I do this, it's called a blob tree, and it's just it's a sheet of paper, and it's 1 through like 20, and they got different feelings, like a little stick man, and they feel in certain type of way, like one of them laying down. So we just go around the class, how you feeling today? Then someone will say, well, my mama pissed me off today. So you have that moment of transparency. That's something, as I was mentioning, that teachers had to adjust to after the pandemic because of students are dealing with stuff, and they've been dealing with stuff since school, but it's just coming back from the pandemic and that frustration and whatnot. We see it more, it's coming out. So, and it's coming out of teachers too. So we exercise more of emotional intelligence. That's one thing you can do as a teacher. You can look up blob tree activity and just go around your class. And it's not going to take 2 or 3 minutes. How you feeling today? Then you get a feel and a pulse, like Ms. Cox was saying. You get a feel of what those students are thinking and their mentality when they walk in, because when they walk through that door, you don't know what they been, and they don't know what your day been. Then if somebody, and they say trigger, so you may say something to trigger, and it just go sideways. So that's one of the things that for us, I would say for teachers, and you say the positive things of what parents need to know. Teachers have to manage your classroom, and that's one way you can manage is just ask them how you feeling today, and then just go around. And once they get it out, they'll be ready to do whatever lesson that you have planned. So the learning is going to take place once you kind of set the atmosphere forward. So that's one thing you can do.
And I agree with that, Coach Flowers. I know a lot of times just some of this is just common sense, but just standing at the door, just greeting. You see it on the internet. Some teachers have just developed with the younger kids some of the different handshakes, but just me standing on the door and just greeting every student that came in, once again, I could pick up on that energy. And it's just, but also we were involved. We went, you were a coach, so you were at their games, but also I tried to attend as many different activities, even if I didn't have a background in soccer or band or choir, just to be present, to let the kids know, well, you may not have anyone here, but I'm here. And, we'll just comment on, oh, good solo, and it's just, but also to parents, I just want you to answer to piggyback, it's just that parents, once again, going back to, you have to be involved because there are a lot of predators. And when you say cover your children, especially high school age, I say young ladies, young men, very well developed than we were probably growing up. There are some predators out here, and I've had some great relationships with some students, but somehow I know a predator got to them, and we have avenues that we are supposed to report things, and we do it, but you can still see that child just changes, and they won't even open up to you, and it tears you up inside because you're just constantly asking that child every day what's going on, and and I mean, I can be candid, for young ladies with the sexual exploitation of kids. It's some predators out there.
Yeah, and another moment of transparency for us, what's actually happening in the schools with kids right now is increase of drug use. The gummies, the vape pens, fentanyl. It's happening. Put it like that. And so it puts a lot of strain on the teachers and the administration, because I recently got my administration license, but I see what the administrators do, and I'm like, I don't. I'm seeing all these fires they got to put up. They got to deal with teachers. They got to deal with students and their issues. And one of the biggest things that's happening in schools is the vape, the gummies, the weed, all that kind of stuff. But that's society. It really, what happens in the school is reflective of what's going on in society. That's what it is. So
and we're playing catch up. We're trying to stay on top of it as best we can. And to add to that, as everyone's seeing on the news now, is fentanyl. Because I remember them having a discussion with the nurses, giving them Narcan. And I was just thinking, now, like Coach Flowers said, we have to be counselor, doctor. There have been times, I don't know, if you've had a medical emergency where I've had to save, we have to save teachers, if they have a medical, you do it. You do if you're trained. But now with fentanyl, and I was just thinking, how do you even know if somebody's having that overdose, or they're just passed out? So there's so much on a teacher's mind, and then not, talk about, mass shootings. Of course, we have to address that. Just thinking that day, will we go in? Will we, be presented? So it's a lot on educators, those that are staying in, well, as we say, the game, and trying to stay on top of the curriculum that changes, and all the other issues that are going on.
It's like a war zone at your child's school. We see the little mascot and everybody, woo, go your mascot, but when the door's shut, it's a war zone in there. You got different personalities, you got different ethnic groups, and you got just some crazies because they had trauma in their life. And so we really don't get what teachers go through. And one thing that I love what they said, just greeting them. You'll be surprised. From kindergarten, I'm talking about me now, from kindergarten to 12th grade, I may have a teacher speak to me, hey, how you doing? Maybe 1 or 2 times. Ever. And it's crazy. And us going through crazy stuff, especially black males or anybody, but especially black males and our African-American children. They go through so much stuff. And just a, hey, how you doing? You doing all right? Makes a world of difference. Just saying, hey, you need anything? Hey, even in discipline, instead of just sending them to the office, hey, do you want me to call your mama? That made a whole lot of difference, because they put themselves in your life for the betterment. Like when James, I'm not gonna send them to the office. I'm gonna call your mama. You want me to call your mama? Nah, let me sit down and shut up, because I don't want to deal with her when I get home. Just being involved with this discipline. Now teachers just go to the office. They go right back and they repeat the process. They want somebody to love them. They want to be seen. And a lot of times, and teachers don't do it intentionally, and that's why I thank God for these two. Kids want to be seen. They may not get seen at the house. Some of their mama may be strung out. We don't even know what's going on. Stepdaddy molesting them. We don't. This real life. We don't know what's going on in these children's houses, and so school is their only safe zone. And so I thank God for educators that are involved and that they love the children, because I know it's difficult, because I had a bad attitude sometimes. I had a bad attitude. P probably had a bad attitude, and allowing teachers probably get verbally abused from sun up to sundown, and we just need to go out and just thank them for what they do, especially the ones that are involved, especially with our children, because I know I had a funky attitude sometimes. So I appreciate these two, and I especially Coach Flowers, because I think he was gone by the time. Yeah, I think he was gone by the time after probably my freshman year, but especially Coach Flowers, because he was just involved. He was involved. And you needed that. You see, I still talk to him to this day. That speaks volumes. If your past students hey, give you a hug, and they say, hey, how you doing? You've done your work. You put in the work. And so, a lot of people got to understand, like, teaching is not just a job, it's a calling. You can get the certification. This is a calling. Everybody ain't called to this. Because I can see it. Teachers have worse attitudes than the kids. Open your book up. We need somebody involved with our everyday life, with our children. So parents, let's encourage our educators and don't give them a hard time. Because I know some of y'all, my baby wouldn't do that. Yes, they would. Because I did it. So get involved with your teachers. They ain't lying. They ain't lying on your baby. I'm sorry. So just get involved, talk to them. And you know what? Learn something different about your kid because they hide stuff. The teachers can tell you a lot of stuff about your children, and you'll be shocked. So stay involved. Go to the parent-teacher conferences. That's another thing. And dads, we got to get more involved. I see a lot of mamas up there. Dads, we got to get involved. I'm preaching to myself too. We got to get involved. I know we used to putting it on the mama. We got to get in there.
Yeah.
I would like to see that more, Coach
Dads.
Flowers. Yeah, more dads, uncles, whomever, just more presence in the school. And I know, of course, we have to, for those out there, yes, we do have to go through the guidelines of making sure that everybody has the background check and all that. But you see the schools in the inner cities that are having those dads and having those programs. And whenever they can come up, when they're not working, they come through and, they have official, shirt or either a vest that they put on. But I think we're getting to that point that we're going to need more manpower in the schools. I'm also a big supporter of seeing more mental health in the school. Now we have some agencies that come in, but they can't keep up with the workload. I would like to see like mental health agencies in the schools, like families can come, make an appointment. Right. So, they drop off, you can just go. And some schools, I think there's one in Monticello, but they have a clinic where they did a grant, they wrote a grant. And so if the families, because there's not a clinic in so many miles of this school district, so they have this clinic and families and children can go. But I would like to see more mental health, like we have a mental health agency in our school, because we're seeing more of that. And teachers educators are not equipped for that. We are, I guess, the newer, it's just, they don't teach that. We don't have courses on that. Now, probably the younger ones coming out of education, they are, but that's still delving into mental health. And unless you have a psychology or some type of background. So when we are presented with those issues, sometimes it takes us off guard because we're like, we don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to handle it. And sometimes teachers may call home and may rub you the wrong way, parent, but they're probably just as scared as you are and didn't quite say the right thing that they should have, because not everyone is so eloquent when speaking. But there are some major issues that we're facing, and they're younger. Because with Section 504, I see a lot of those students in the schools, and they're like kindergarten, first graders, and it's really disheartening. But we have to address it.
I got a moment of transparency with James, and also to give advice to educators. One of the things when you get a little notoriety, people know you're always being watched. And one thing that I had to work on, that's why I went to this emotional intelligence class and seminar, is because I had to be more self-aware on how even I responded in a game or with a kid, because people watch. And so they'll see at a game or something, I'll confront the child. That's my baby right there. Then I sit them down and they don't get back in the game because they did something I told them not to.
They tiddlywink.
So I had to be. So one thing that I had to work on is to be more self-aware when I'm communicating with the child, because I may say, okay, I'm getting on to them about this, But then what people see, their perspective matters to them more than actually what the issue was with the child. And a lot of times they may see me get on to a kid or I'll do something or whatnot. The next minute I done forgot about it, really. But also addressing the COVID, and then, well, one thing you got to do, and I try to do this all the time, but it may not, if people may have not seen it, is have a redeeming quality about myself. That after you get on to them, you build them right back up. But I learned that when you do it in public or whatnot, people don't, nowadays, people don't, they don't see that part of it. And so now I have to learn, okay, maybe I can do it another way and still get my message across to the kid or whatever, to the parents. So the communication issue with parents and with the child is very important going into the future, going in, after this COVID-19. And so I just wanted to point that out when you mentioned that.
Pete?
Oh, man, I ain't really got too much, boy. Y'all been smashing in the paint, but like y'all said, it's very vital that us parents, as James, I'm with him as well, is trying to be more present in our kids' lives, not only in the household, because, being responsible, if you depend on your workload, you might come home, you might not interact with your kids like you necessarily in a healthy manner. You might just come home, eat, go, take a shower, go to sleep. But those kids need that, maybe bedtime story or help them with homework. Nowadays, shoot, if I ain't in class with you, I really can't help you.
Can't help you, buddy.
But just to make the attempt to spend that time to show them the support, and as Ms. Cox was saying too, us men, just the small things, if we can show up at the school, or small things, if depending on what time you got to be at work, if your kid ride the bus, just stand at the bus stop with them, chop it up with some of the kids that's around there, so they know who you are and they know that your kid has support. I've done that a couple times. Had to deal with a couple quote unquote bullies, but letting them know, hey man, you don't have to have that type of attitude towards my child or any other kid necessarily that you might not agree with. Something I tell my kids all the time is you're not gonna have your way all the time, and what you think, somebody else doesn't think the same. So don't count it against them. Just appreciate the difference and see if you guys can come to some camaraderie or agreement and still be cool. But as our educators have said today, sometimes the kids and even the parents have dealt with so much during COVID, pre-COVID, and even present day and time, and not being able to heal properly, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So for those of us who have been through or going through or have the skill set or the knowledge in order to be on a path of progression, that as Coach Flowers was saying, when we get the knowledge, that we execute it, that we redeem ourselves, that we shine our light, to where people can see and know that there's hope in just still living life. Like James said, there's a lot of people ending it all, or ODing, or just attitude, spirit all messed up. So they looking for a fight, right? So let's do one of my favorite movies, Step Brothers, where you gotta try a little love, try a little tenderness in this thing of life. I know we all sometimes wake up in the morning and fight the grizzly bear before we get to work and school. But if we can learn to lead with love, that it can eventually over time soften the hardened man or woman's heart. And that's what we're called to do. Just like Coach Flowers and Ms. Cox was saying, is that if you, what's that phrase they say, I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. So you really got to be true to it if you want to be involved in just living life, period, but especially in education. Like they say, they wear so many hats. And us as parents or guardians, if we can try to join forces as my boy Captain Planet say, when our powers combine, we can really help save the world in a sense. Now, how it's saved, that's out of our hands. But what we got to do is control what we can control, and control our environment, our kingdom to a degree. Because we know the world we live in is dark. But if we continue to shine the light, which is AKA show love, be kind, be patient, continue to redeem ourselves when we do fall, and continue to build relationships. That's the key. You know, I can't come in forceful and bully my way in to try to get some respect. It's usually earned, and it usually takes some time. And I know in society, patience isn't a virtue in society's eyes. But if we can like try to teach it and be the change that we want to see, it gives a better percentage of advancement for our school system and even our homes and families and stuff like that, you know.
P, can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's one thing before I know we end this evening is I would like to see more parents, now that we are coming, off the pandemic, getting your children more involved in activities.
Yes.
I give back as much as I can. Sometimes at the end of the day, I'm just exhausted. But I work with, area colleges. If of course, those that know me, I have some background in pageantry. I try to give back and coordinate a pageant or work with some young ladies with etiquette or young men.
Yeah.
But our children are suffering. There's so much, let's say, scholarship money out there for different things, but we're not getting our kids involved in the arts.
Right.
We let our children say, well, I don't want to do that. Every summer, I was always involved in some type of activity.
Yeah.
And my parents just made a way, and I'm from the Delta, just, at UAPB, I was just involved with some activity. If it wasn't swimming lessons, it was gymnastics, just getting your kids involved, even if it isn't. I know you talk about, we don't like to talk about church, but we're seeing our youth falling off.
Oh, yeah.
In our churches.
Jumping off the ship.
Most definitely.
And so getting your kids just back into doing things of that nature so that they can learn how to speak in front of large groups.
Yes.
Confidence.
And there are activities that go on that the kids would enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to, don't accept, no, I don't want to do that.
Right.
It's just, no.
You preaching.
Listen.
You preaching. You preaching.
Because I just find out that so many of our kids don't even have talents.
Wow.
And they're not able to compete with our counterparts.
Right.
Wow.
Because we have allowed them to say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want, you're going to try it.
Yeah. You're going to
Step
try
on some toes. This
I
year.
think we do this too,
Step on.
especially when it comes like to math and science. Our kids don't even try, and them reading scores be down, all because we just don't try.
Right.
And so I agree wholeheartedly. Another thing, so I want to give advice to administrators. I'm not administrators, but educators. Have balance in your life, because I have a son myself, and so my schedule is to where I can't be at the school as much as I want to. So thank goodness for his mom. But also, parents need to understand that the teacher is a human, and the teacher got a family as well.
Right.
And so it's only, like Ms. Cox was saying, we're going to give our 100%, but it's only so much we can give at that time, because we got our personal, we got our personal life. So just advice to educators, always have some balance. And I'm saying this because that's the mistake I made until someone in church, my assistant, told me, said, hey, you need to take care of yourself.
Right.
So we get so involved in whatever. It can be ministry, it can be teaching, coaching, whatever. You'll get so involved in it, you really forget to take care of yourself. So that's why now I take off work when I don't. I got enough days. It almost got me in trouble, but I
Do what you gotta do.
took care of myself and feel healthy. I take me a vacation when my season is over with. I thank God for spring break. I got my time, and my calendar set up of when I'm going to take time for myself. So that's one thing that you do not lose is don't forget to take care, because we're so selfless. But sometimes it's good to be selfish with your time, because if you are depleted, you're not going to be able to help anybody because you tore up from the floor up. And it's just going to be a bad situation. So just for educators that I know that work hard, and you up there at about 7, 8 o'clock at night trying to get your lessons and everything like that, that's good. Right. But also remember to take care of yourself. When the time is for you to take care of yourself, do that. And then you'll have enough energy to do the work that you need to do.
Right.
And that's good, Coach Flowers, because as an administrator, I don't know how many teachers that came in my office and just broke down because they were dealing with things and they weren't taking, because they are so, gung-ho teachers that they want to be there. And for those of you out there, if you're teachers of my age that still have parents, or even some people still have grandparents, well, then they're probably a caregiver now. And that's tough. It's really tough. Or they have a loved one that's in a nursing home where they just couldn't take care of them, but they're going after work, trying to check on them. So I just want parents to also understand that teachers are human, but I have had to send some teachers home because they just mentally and physically weren't there. But I do also let my teachers know to be transparent with their kids. There was, for example, a teacher that lost her mom, or it was getting to that point she knew, and I just say, sometimes you just have to have those conversations with your kids, because sometimes it's hard to have that conversation at home. And I just say, you don't have to tell everything, but just tell your kids as they come in, hey, it's a tough day for me, but I'm here, and we're going to give it our best. We're going to give it 100. And if you break down, take or come to my office and give me. But there have been times where I've had to send educators home because they're just on that last.
For sure.
So you do have to take care of yourself.
Yeah, and I'm gonna speak on that too. That transparency is important, because sometimes I know growing up for me, I looked at my teachers as Superman, Superwoman all the time, like they was invincible, only because I guess the way they conducted themselves in class, like so much order, and they initiated respect real early in class, so I just respected it, you know what I mean? And like James said, with my dad, he's disciplinary. He let the teachers know, yo, you got any problem, call me. Don't let it build up, stack papers up. No, call me, because I'm going to get it to it. Yeah. So that helped and shaped, mold my life, but that transparency helps some of the kids, because they be like, because they might be going through the same thing, and then it lets them know, hey, I'm not alone. And I think for anybody in life, sometimes we can be in our own heads and be self-sabotage, or just feel like real lonely and become depressed. But when we do know that, not saying there's misery in company, but we don't want the negative thing, but knowing like, man, I'm not fighting this battle by myself, really helps a person to kind of be able to push through, especially when you got the right resources and people around you. And I think that I've seen teachers / students, when they had that camaraderie, like it make the whole class feel like family, and I know that's what, like Coach Flower was saying with the pandemic, it helped divide a lot of that family-oriented stuff that we had within the school system and in our own families, because it's families that didn't fool with each other during COVID. Like, don't come to my house, nigga. You know what I mean? You can't come through, you know what I mean? So we can't have the barbecue. We can't have the kick out no more. So, and when you study things outside of, even with the pandemic, just even with our the penitentiary and that type of system, when they put cats in isolated, you know what I'm saying? We're humans. We're built for connection. And when you take that away from us, we start breaking down mentally, physically, spiritually. We turn into caged animals. I seen it was a documentary on Netflix. What's that boy name? He was in New York.
Was it Jeffrey?
I see it was like
Dama was in
Khalid or
Cali.
something like that. because I know Jay-Z like produced it or whatever. But anyway, he had wrongfully got convicted of something. And he ended up going into isolation for like almost a whole like 2 years. And he was innocent the whole time. But when he got out, he wasn't the same. You know, so it's very important that, as they say, check on your strong friend. The one who there for everybody, but there's never really anybody there for them. Just start trying to tap in, But as Ms. Cox was saying, get some therapy. Like, check on yourself. Be honest and transparent with yourself when you look in the mirror every morning when you're brushing your teeth, And I like to be comedic at times, but for anybody in my generation that know the singer Maxwell, he had this music video was whenever, wherever, whatever, or something like that. But he was just brushing his teeth, which was weird as a mug when I first seen the music video. But it was transparent because hopefully everybody's in the morning when they getting up, they brushing their snags and, getting it right, getting their hygiene right. But it was a moment of relax and transparency. So me, myself, I like to try to incorporate some principles in my life when I'm starting my day off. Like, so if I am hit with some disrespect or I am hit with somebody who going through something, they don't even realize it. If I'm leading with love and my heart is pure, then I'm able to provide a little bit of support, or just like the educators were saying, a hi, hey, how's your day? How you feeling today? Just somebody like checking in does a world of difference. I do it. I try to do it when I'm out and about. I might be at Walmart. Well, back in the day when they had the cashiers, now I'm looking for the check when I check out. Like, I'm checking myself out. What my check at? You know what I mean? But I used to chop it up with some peer strangers, But also, too, being involved in band, church, that helped build my self-confidence and my social skills. So at times, I'm usually pretty quiet and timid, but after a while, I kind of warm up. But over the years, I've become more confident and sure of myself, and I'm able to reach out to those who, like Ms. Cox was saying, you can kind of see something's wrong. You know what I mean? So cashiers, or I might be at Burger King or something, like, yo, you straight? Man, you only got a couple more hours, dog. You be out of here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So. And, someone be trying to be hard, like, don't be trying to make me smile, dog. But, it helps invest and inspire them. They're like, yo, it's going to be all right. It's everything. This too shall pass. It's not going to be bad all the time. And, like Ms. Cox was saying about the mentality of people, our people, just people, period, it's like at an all-time low. So I challenge all of us individually to, if you are weak in some areas, strive to become strong. Try to surround yourself with an environment of like peer positive and love. And if you don't have it in your immediate family, try to reach out to a church group. Or, now we got a lot of social media and stuff at our fingertips. Now, it can be good and it can be bad, but there's a thing that's within us, the spirit that really, a discernment. So even if you are in a dark place, what's beneficial for your life and what's not. You can look at the results. You can look at the society. You can see. So try to find a mentor, whether it, be online. Me, myself, I listen to my boy E.T., the hip-hop preacher, Eric Thomas, and his crew. And it's a cat named G. Bryant. I listen to my boy Miles Monroe, and he didn't, he resurrected out here. He gone, but what he was, the knowledge that he was giving out is still living today, right? So just find stuff that's going to feed your spirit and your soul to help get you out of that dark place. And know, too, just like these lights shining in this garage / the man cave, like, you can shine bright. Riri, I know she back in the game, and she had a song called Shine Bright Like a Diamond. So please, like, know that you're worth it. You have a purpose, and don't give up. In life, we gotta fight. Everything is work. Everything is challenge. You know what I'm saying? Right. To wake up, to blink your eyes, to walk, to use the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? To be able to drive, move your fingers is work. and we have been blessed to experience life. So let's not downplay it like it's just another day in the neighborhood. Let's actually do like Mr. Rogers and be chipper about it. Change our sweater and put our loafers on and go out there and do it one step at a time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Testing.
Yeah.
One thing I want to comment, that's growing up, I remember my grandmother that was her motto. What? The Lord woke you up this morning.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have a frown on your face. I need some pep in that step.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the way I went out the door.
Wow.
And I'm just not a morning person.
Right, I feel you.
But that's how she started me out. And so when I even think about getting down, I'm like, I still have my faculties. Yeah, I may not feel my best,
Right.
but I'm going to give it my all.
For sure.
And I just want to, I'm not going to, because, people get in their feelings when you call somebody out, but there's one particular school at the beginning of the year, I was there because we were encouraged to visit schools, and this
school was it?
administrator, I'm not saying
I ain't
this
saying no thing.
administrator called out the kids, and he said, some of you walk down this hallway and you don't even speak when someone addresses you.
Yeah.
And that was the first early assembly that he had at the beginning of the year. And he said, I want to challenge you when you're walking down the hallway and someone else and they speak to you, you speak back.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so provoking, especially for young adults. And I do the same thing with students and adults. How are you?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Straight up.
How's it, And it's not, we need that interaction.
We do.
But
Right.
that is what he started his assembly off. And so parents, that's kind of what we're having to teach those social skills because we have been so closed in. And kids, and they're like, oh, so I just went to a high school the other day, and I was just every kid that passed by me. How are you? Good to see you.
Yeah.
Everything going to like that bag.
Right.
It just comment on,
Oh, yeah.
something, but it's genuine,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Because kids can read. You,
Oh, yeah.
And they
Yes.
know if it's fake.
They be like, Cap. You cap it. Cap crunch.
No, but I'm always genuine. I think Flowers, we've had that connection.
Yeah,
And once
for
again,
sure.
going back to that's something that I think we were born with.
We sure appreciate y'all. One thing I want to piggyback, especially on Pastor Coach. I mean, that's a double. That's a killer right there. So y'all, like he said, pray for him. One thing, I'm gonna go back to the scripture. I believe it was Matthew chapter 22, when Jesus, the Sadducees, Pharisees, religious leaders, they asked Jesus, "What's the greatest commandment?" Trying to trip him up. Of course, Jesus, God Himself, says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul." And then He said, "Love the neighbor as thyself." But one thing that spoke out to me was, "Love thy neighbor as thyself." Love your neighbor as yourself. You gotta love yourself to love somebody else. So take care of yourself. I can't be giving everybody else love when I don't love myself. Jesus says, love your neighbor as you love yourself, basically. So take time, relax. One thing, especially my wife had to share with me, was like, James, you do too much, sit down. My grandma said the same thing. James, sit down, you do too much. All right, you're going to check up on out of here because you ain't sitting down. Administrators or teachers, we need you, especially the ones that are doing the right thing, that is doing right. Take care of yourself, because we got kids that's coming up that's going to need you. You're going to have a fatherless James come to your campus, and he going to need you to pour into him. Take time for yourself to get poured into, so you can pour into this young kid that's lost, that don't know anything, who's musty and hard-headed and think he know it. He's smelling himself. He managed. Take time to get yourself poured into so you can pour into him. That's going to be a fast girl. She ain't got no father figure. She really don't have a mother. She really raising herself. Take time for yourself so you can pour into her, because they coming. They coming. They coming to your campus near you. They coming. They got a bad attitude, but pour into them, because they're going to turn out to be preachers and assistant pastors and ministry workers like P, they coming. So pour into them, and we need good educators. All right. My boy Sean said, Brother Kedron, he said, I asked if anybody wanted any questions. He was like, it's more of a reflection question. He said, could we put our pride aside to be a better role model and approachable person for the kids and parents?
I think yes. Piggybacking on what everyone said, it seemed like we're talking about having good relationships, loving yourself, loving your neighbor. So during the pandemic, I read a lot of books. Like when I moved, I've been so busy, been living in my house like 7 years, but I never, because of my schedule, I never really stayed in my house other than just going to sleep, getting back up, and going back to work.
Right.
So I had a lot of time during the pandemic. So I read books. It's called The Power of Bad. So I'm giving a suggestion, a book to read called The Power of Bad. And one thing we got to realize about relationships, and was talking about gave different scenarios, the husband and wife. The key to it is not bringing any bad in a relationship.
Okay.
Because, it's like a man, we say, man, we doing all this for you, and the woman don't remember none of that. So just don't bring no bad to her, and vice versa. So one of the things, to strengthen my relationship with my students, and it's not perfect, I'm always going to be prepared. I'm not going to bring bad to them. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to know my lesson. I'm going to have my objective or whatever, or whatnot, and do the best in that regard. So then on the flip side, you're not bringing bad in this class either. So that's why I'm saying, like you said, the energy and stuff like that. You meet them at the door. If you got to say your prayer, you need to say your prayer. I'm prayed up before I get there, and then, so that's part of my strategy. You got to have a strategy and a plan, is to minimize the bad and then the good. Because, like you said, is there any hope? And we can get so bogged down in seeing all this bad stuff, and we talk about all the issues going on, but there is actually hope. But we have to work toward that, right, and just eliminate, when you in that space, in that school, like I tell my students, this is not a confrontation between me. It's not a war zone, so to speak. So how we interact with each other is going to be respectful. Now, when you cross that line, I'm gonna hit you over your head. I'm gonna let you know, don't play with me. But then, by the same token, I'm gonna give you the best education that I can give you. So I just wanted to say that.
Appreciate you.
When I say bust over the head, I don't mean literally.
They know.
I got to
clarify that. Yeah.
They know.
I don't mean literally.
Some of them need it, but we know what you were talking about. Y'all, funny story. Ninth grade, it was 9th or 10th. When I did world history, it was one of them. So Pastor Flowers, Coach Flowers, be preaching his lesson plan. This is no cap. He be like, he was preaching, and I had a terrible attention span. But I'm a religious major now, and some of the things that he was talking about in class and world history, like, intrigued me, because he would preach his lesson plans. Like, he would preach it. Like, I could hear him in other classrooms. At the bottom dungeon part. At the bottom dungeon, what I'm talking about? I could hear him preaching. We were talking about Pharaohs and Ramsey and stuff like that, and you could hear him preach his lesson plan, but it was never a dull moment in his classroom. I learned a lot in his class. We need teachers like that enjoy teaching.
Yeah.
Don't just give me work.
Right.
I need to feel like I went to world history. I want to feel like I went to Egypt. I felt like I was in Egypt, or I felt like I learned a lot in class. You need that. You need that. Teachers,
magic school bus experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Miss Frizzle.
We need educators that like teaching, that love teaching. And like I said before, take care of yourself. So you can pour into these students. We need educators. We need educators. Mr. Cox, you want to say something while we over here? I'm just mad. Y'all, any comments, any questions, any last remarks? It's been a great revelation today.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate these two. Y'all, they still pour into me. I'm 33 years old. I've been out of school. It don't stop. Your educators still pour into you as an adult. That's a blessing. That's a gift. And one thing I believe in my heart, that one of these days when y'all stand before the Lord, He's gonna reward y'all for pouring in to these children.
Indeed.
These educators are going to get poured into by the Lord themselves. I'm telling you, there's blessings around the corner. I believe it. God has so much in store for y'all. Thank y'all for being selfless, putting up with musty, bad kids. Not all of us were bad. We just mischievous. But thank you for, pouring into us. We need it. You never know what these kids go through. Y'all put y'all life on the line for these children. Thank you. We appreciate you. Any comments, questions, concerns, obligations? How they doing the business meeting? What they say? For the good of the church. Thank y'all. Listen, y'all. Join us on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock for the Lounge Talk. Listen, we appreciate you. We love you. God bless you. And always keep God first. And let's love everybody. I love you. God bless you. Have a good one. Who was all online today? Okay. I already sent y'all messages. I love y'all. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Merry Christmas.